Claudia, which one's a two? Well, welcome to On Point Live, right here from the Manhattan Beach Studios. Hi, everyone. I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams quarterback. Alongside me is the NFL Super Bowl Hall of Famer, 20-year veteran and legend, Jackie Slater. And Jackie, today we talk about everything what's happening in the sports world, obviously, but we're going live with our viewers today because we have the Bucs and the Eagles are playing live right now on Monday Night Football, and then we're gonna preview the Rams-Bengals matchup, Jackie.
Right.
In this game here, just to open up things, this is going to be an exciting game for both these teams because you've got the Eagles are 2-0, and so are the Bucs are 2-0.
Right.
But before we talk about that game, real quick, Jackie, this last weekend was unbelievable, and the NFL doesn't take a backseat to anybody, right? They're front seat, and these games we saw this weekend, the one that I was marveling about this weekend was the Dolphins and the Broncos.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, I wore my aqua blue because the Dolphins.
I see.
But I actually picked the Broncos to play good that game, Jackie.
I know.
You had them.
Yeah,
you had the Dolphins, though.
Yeah, I had the Dolphins to win that ball game, Vincent. I gotta say, at this point, I know it's early, but at this point in time, I haven't seen a better football team executing their run game, executing their pass game, playing defense. I haven't seen a better football team than the Miami Dolphins. And then just think, we were going into the season wondering if Tua was going to hold up to a concussion situation, and this guy is all of a sudden acting like he's invincible.
Well, maybe that martial arts he was doing in the offseason is
Maybe-
helping him out.
maybe
He's quick.
so.
He's
Maybe.
quick to respond. He's
Making great decisions.
picture perfect back there. Is it the Dolphins that good or the Broncos
They're
that
good, Vince. They're that good. How many yards rushing do you think they had?
I saw.
350 yards. We had Eric Dickerson. We had Jerome Bettis. Both of these guys are Hall of Famers. Not one time did we ever have 350 yards rushing.
And they had,
regardless of who the complimentary backs were.
Okay,
we never did it.
You said complimentary. They have a complimentary passing game as well, Jackie. They've
Right.
got fleet-footed receivers like Tyreek Hill.
Oh,
Jackie,
my
and
goodness.
they're getting out there, getting open. Jackie, the first pass, it was a touchdown pass to him. He was sitting back in the pocket to a Tagliavola, and he completed a strike to Tyreek for a touchdown. I was looking at the defense. Where are the defensive rushers? On the ends, they were standing at the line of scrimmage.
That's the other thing. They negate pass rush kind of like Sean McVay does at the Rams. They negate it with, and the same thing with Shanahan up at San Francisco. They negate pass rush with movement. They give you a lot of run keys that tells you to play the run instead of rushing the passer, and then they get back there with Brock Purdy, and then they throw the ball. They do the same thing with the Rams. These guys are very, very well prepared. They know that the running game and the passing games coordinate with one another, and every little thing is in place. I mean, that coach down in Miami, McDaniels, he's
a genius.
He's a genius, and he looks like he's sitting. Looks like the type of guy that would be sitting in front of a computer all day long.
Jackie, this is the first time I think I've ever seen 4 quarterbacks complete over 80% of their pass attempts in this weekend. And you know who led that group? Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
Tua was. He had 89% completion percentage,
89%.
Jackie. Then the next highest, Justin Herbert. 85%, Jackie. And,
That's a lot of throwing, and that's a lot of accuracy, and that's what these guys are getting paid to do. These guys are capable of doing that. and they're doing it, and it's paying dividends for them. I just can't get over Miami and all of its weapons running the ball. The guys that are running the football out of the backfield can catch it. And Vince, one of the things, we don't talk about this too much when we talk about Tyreek Hill because he's such a dangerous receiver downfield and everything. But, he was a running back. And when he gets the ball in his hand, he's like a running back. All of those skills, he'll slow down and make guys slow down, and then he'll accelerate because he knows he can run past them. And he's just a dangerous wide receiver.
Well, they talk about the yak, the yards after catch. And so if you're a running back, you know how to run the football, and that's how you gain your yardage. But Jackie, those 4 quarterbacks that threw over 80% of their completions all won the game. The third quarterback was Deshaun Watson. He's been electric. He's been great. I mean, he's always an accurate passer. The fourth player, Jackie, was a newcomer in the league. Jackie, and that was the Arizona quarterback, Josh
Dobbs. Where did Dobbs? I mean,
I'm telling you, Jackie, he looked great.
He completed 80% of his passes, correct?
He went 80% of his passes, just under 200 yards passing.
Now, Vince, the other caveat to that is they had 200, I believe, in
222 yards rushing.
222 yards rushing. And the last time they had a rushing output like that, they beat the Rams. Remember, they beat the Rams a couple of years ago in that first game, and then they came back in the second game and didn't run the ball at all. So, if it's there is if you look at the teams that are playing well now and having success, regardless of what their passing game is doing, because you look at Philadelphia, you don't see that. Jalen Hurts hadn't started hitting on all cylinders yet, but what they are doing is running the ball, and they're using that big offensive line. And they're holding on to the ball, and it's just hard to beat.
And we
it's
saw
just hard to beat
Ryans win his first game, Jack, with the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud. To be all the newcomers as rookie quarterbacks, he's standing out.
He showed up.
We were right about him coming out of college, Jackie.
Yeah.
He had a great game, 2 touchdown passes.
I wanted to ask you, Vince, one of the things that I have been noticing is that the young quarterbacks that are coming in this league over the last couple of years, the ones that are having the most amount of success, they played a lot of football in college. They didn't just transfer in and play a year and a half or 2 years. They played 4 years. Brock Purdy played probably more football than all of these guys coming in. And he was Mr. Irrelevant. Look at what he's doing now. So is there something to be said for the college experience as a quarterback relative to your success? When you move to the NFL, early success?
That's a great question, Jackie. I really think there's a correlation between how much you play in college, how successful you are, and then how that translates into the NFL. Now, some of these teams, when we played, Jackie, they ran the wishbone, they ran different kind of power offense. They weren't really a pro-type attack. But the more familiar you are with a pro-style offense, when you make that adjustment, it's that much faster, and you can improve that much. And that's why we see guys like C.J. Stroud making a big difference in his first year out of college. Now, you also had Dobbs, who came in. He was at Tennessee, did a great job in college. He comes to the NFL. He's prepared as well. So you see these guys, it's just another step. It's a different game, but it's another step in the right direction.
So it almost should be a prerequisite when you look at drafting a quarterback, evaluating a quarterback, how many reps he had in college. Not just how fast he can go, how strong his arm is, any of that stuff. How much has he played? Because once he gets to Sunday football and start playing with these brilliant offensive minds, some of them anyway, you got to be able to handle a lot of different things. You got to be able to get in and out of plays. You got to be able to make all the throws. Making all the throws is just not the only thing you have to be able to do as a quarterback, it seems to me.
You got to be a good leader, Jackie, and you have to respond well to the team. And I think that's what you see, what's happened with Joshua Dobbs with the Cardinals. And also what Jonathan Gannon's been able to preach with that team.
How about that? He's a defensive
He's
oriented
a
guy.
defensive-minded coach.
And
but he's got those guys playing at a top level.
I know, and we thought that one of the reasons why he was hired in Arizona was because of the 2 high-powered offenses that Arizona has to face each year in the Rams and the 49ers. And that may end up being true. That may end up paying a lot of dividends. But by the same token, he's a defensive-minded head coach who understands the value of being able to run the football.
Yeah.
And so he's doing that.
Well, and they beat the Cowboys.
They
The
beat
Cowboys
which
were as
was,
good as any team in the NFL right now, Jackie, with their
Right.
defensive.
and they were
front.
that was a shock to a lot of people.
Yeah, for them to run 222 yards, that was a big plus.
It was.
Of course, but there's a lot of great games, Jackie, that we saw this past weekend, and teams have bounced back. They're set to go on.
I have a question that I want to ask you about a game this past week.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
They lost their ball game. He had 101 yards rushing. I think he
led the team in rushing.
He led the team in rushing.
Right.
And my understanding was with their new offensive coordinator that they were going to be spreading the ball around, throwing it to Duncan. What's his name? Todd Monken. They were going to be throwing the ball all around, and that he had the arm to be able to make all those throws and everything. But when I listened to a lot of the people that are evaluating his performance in this past game, they basically say this offense is still a running quarterback offense. Have you seen enough of what they're doing in Baltimore to make you conclude that?
I haven't paid that much attention to their play calling, Jackie, and haven't seen them play as much as I would like to. But I think that from what I gather and the little bit that I have seen, I think that Lamar Jackson is doing a better job from the pocket. And I think that's because of the way the coach has designed their plays. And they have guys like Odell Beckham, to go out there, possession type of receivers and make those catches. And that's going to be a big part of their offense. Yes, I think running the football, you can't take that away, which I like that because Lamar Jackson, one of his best attributes is running out of the pocket, Jackie, and getting good yards. Mm-hmm. Okay,
especially after the protection broke down, which happened quite a bit.
Correct, and I think that's something that the Broncos are missing in Denver. I mean, they need to utilize Russell Wilson. He's not a pocket passer, Jackie, although he's pretty accurate thrower. He can throw the football. They need to orchestrate and design plays that give him a little ad lib and be able to instinctively just perform on his own and allow that to happen naturally, along with have a conformity in their offense. But Sean Payton is more Drew Brees style pocket passing, but they're going to have to work around that. And I think, I think Vance Joseph is really going to have to shore up that defense if they're going to move on, because I really like the Broncos coming out of camp.
That was really problematic in that game. I mean, and it was like they just couldn't get them off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, 70 points.
70 to 20.
That's
and they had a chance to break the all-time record.
Isn't that near the very top of the most points ever scored?
But Mike McDaniel, I think it was great. It was clever for him not to kick that field goal to make 73 points, Jackie, because you know what? It's an incentivized the players to go out and do it again, and this time make 77 points.
Right.
Well, I'm not out here to break records. I'm out here to win football games.
Right.
So.
But there's nothing wrong with walking off of a field scoring 70 points.
But we're getting closer to game time here for the Rams-Bengals too, Jackie. And so, but this Eagles-Bucks game, I mean, you mentioned it once. They have one of the best offensive lines in football, Jackie. But and they're running at a clip of 178 yards a game, Jackie.
Right.
So that they're running behind that offensive line. You have to utilize what you have best.
Right.
Utilize your tools, right?
Right.
And I think we both picked the Eagles to win this game.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, and we were
both
tied actually in 2 weeks. So they're going to have to watch our prediction show, Jack, because we're 17-13, which we're over 500. It's not the greatest, but Jackie, at least we got in the plus column, right?
Right, we got in the plus column.
So what do you think about this game, Jackie? This Bucks-Eagles game?
Well, one of the things that really is encouraging and I'm enjoying watching is the resurgence of Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
After what he did at the end of the season with the Rams, and then to land with another team, and then to be installed as a leader of the team, and to be playing as well as he is. You can just see him, the confidence that he has after his experiences before the Rams, his experiences with Sean McVay, and what he's doing now. He seems to be taking control of this offense and making very good decisions, making very good throws. And so it's impressive. It's impressive to watch, and I think a lot of the success is because of Baker Mayfield's immaturity.
Jackie, they went to the Vikings. They went to Minnesota. They beat the Vikings on the road. They came back at home, beat the Bears. This team is 2-0. They're
Yeah.
playing the Eagles now. Are they for real? Or
Well,
is
that's
this,
the question. That's the question.
What's going on there?
You mentioned who they beat. They beat
Yeah.
the Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah.
who have been they have. I don't think they've had one rushing attempt that went over 10 yards all season long. They beat them. The other team that they beat was
Bears.
Was the Bears, who that has a quarterback there that's saying that his play callers are giving him too much material to have to digest, and he's having problems making decisions on the field, which to me is a bit of is going to be a problem that's going to get worse as the season goes
Well,
along.
he said, Fields said that, he's having to think too much and he's playing too robotic. Now, here's a guy like a Russell Wilson that has the ability to move, to create plays, to ad lib, to instinctively make a play from the offense, Jackie.
Right.
So sometimes you can get a little complicated on offense and you have to simplify things. And
Well, you would think
he's not. Do you think he's saying this, Jackie, because out of disgust or because he's upset, or is it just something that was
or is it the truth?
misinterpreted?
Or is it the truth?
Well, I think there may be a little truth to it, but the fact, Jackie, that they haven't won yet, they're trying to get things moving in the right direction, and so he's just got to look at it and say, hey, that was taken out of context. But really, we need to simplify things.
Yeah.
Simplify it the best way you can and then move on.
Right, and then grow him as a quarterback,
Right.
because he really hasn't had a whole lot of experience.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a lot. He's been there long enough to now be considered a starter, but he really, prior to that, he hadn't played a lot of football. So for me, as I look at a guy like him, I see it as being, perhaps true, that he is being given a little bit too much to digest and have to make decisions from that position, and they, like you say, they need to simplify it.
Hey, Jackie, we have a listener and a viewer out there watching us live. His name is Ken, and he's from Costa Rica. Have you ever been to Costa Rica?
Never been to Costa Rica.
Jackie, you got to go. I went there this past year with my wife and my buddy Ron and his wife Charlene, and so we went to Costa Rica. It was a fabulous time. We had a great vacation. It was laid back. It was the beach. The water temperature is like at bath temperature. It's like 85 degrees. You go in the ocean.
Wow.
We went to Hawaii once, Jackie. Didn't you go scuba diving with us?
Yeah,
Jackie?
I went scuba diving, and as I look back on that,
Yeah.
I think that was one of the craziest things that I've ever done, because I was out there and the complexion.
Shark.
Absolutely,
You're looking for sharks.
I resemble the seal a whole lot more than you did.
Yeah, you were on that lifesaver on that, Jackie. I remember you floating around out there. But no, it was a good time. But we had a great time. Ken, thanks for watching back in Costa Rica. But we're here to preview this Rams-Bengals game tonight. And I saw, prior to this game, Jack, I saw Joey Burrow loosening up a little bit. Yeah. He's suited up. And all week long, Jackie, he says, we'll see.
We'll see.
So how do you gauge, how do you know how this team's going to respond?
Well, Vince, this is what
if he doesn't play, Jake Browning's got to get in there and play.
This is what I know, Vince. I had a strained calf. And when you strain a calf muscle, there's so much of your movement, so much of him planning and driving through that inflammation in that calf. It's painful, and it speaks to you right away. And if that pain is still telling him we got a problem here, then he's going to be apprehensive. He's not going to be able to play. In fact, I can't think about, when I think back and I think about the players, different players that had that injury, those guys didn't play. They just didn't roll the dice because they knew they weren't secure with their footing, because of the calf.
Jackie, if you're the Rams defense, how do you attack a gimpy Joe Burrow? Do you?
Well, you do.
What are you going to do? Because that's your chance to win this game, right?
You got to make him uncomfortable. There's no doubt about it. And how you go about doing that is you put as much heat on him as you possibly can. Every time there's a passing situation where you're anticipating him throwing the ball, then now you got to get your blitz packages in there. You got to come up with some different designs where pressure comes, where he is not anticipating it and he has to move to get rid of the ball, because that's going to tax that calf. And if that calf is taxed too much and it hasn't healed, he'll pull it again. And I think before he pulls it again, he will not play in the game, or he'll take himself out early.
The Bengals started the season off 0-2 this year, Jackie, and a lot of preseason polls had them predicted to be one of the teams that are going to be heavy in the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs. But now that they're 0-2, Jackie, when you start a season that way, only 11% of the teams that started 0-2 have made the playoffs in the NFL.
That's historic.
So is this a game they're going to play the Rams? Is this a desperate move on their part?
I think so. I think it's a desperation game at this stage of the season, knowing the facts that you just shared about how few teams that get off to an 0-2 start actually get into the playoffs. They got to look at this and say, hey, we got to win this ball game at all costs. And I think the biggest emphasis on winning this ball game for Cincinnati hasn't to do with the quarterback. It has to do with the offensive line.
Right.
It has to do with them running the football, and when they throw it, the protection that they're able to provide. Because if I were on this team, I'm sitting there thinking, I know I have a good quarterback when he's healthy, but when he's not, you might as well have your backup in there. So I'm going to be pressed by the coaching staff, maybe not so harshly, but I'm going to be pressed as an offensive lineman to do everything I can to keep my quarterback standing up. And that means also doing a fantastic job when we run the ball.
Well, and one of the things probably to look at is their receiving corps, Jackie. None of their top three receivers, they have the best trio of receivers in the league
they got
on
some
any
good
team.
ones. They got some
Jamar Chase, they have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins. Okay, none of those players have had 100 yards in receptions this year.
Which is a surprise.
So,
I mean, not a surprise when you think about it, but you would expect.
Well, that's because maybe Joe Burrow hasn't been up to speed, up to par. But they have Joe Mixon in the backfield, and I have to agree with you that if Joe Burrow is in a position where he has to throw the ball 40 to 50 times tonight, they're not going to win this game.
No.
Because that's going to put people like Aaron Donald on the defensive front and get them after the quarterback, and they're going to have to. And talking about Aaron Donald, Jackie, the Rams this year have had 3 sacks. Now, they really have to get after the quarterback to win games.
And they know that, particularly tonight. Either they're going to get after a gimpy Joe Burrow or an inexperienced backup. Right. So they got to put pressure on the pocket.
So you're not concerned about their pass rush, the Rams? They're going to
to me, a lot of people think about the Rams pass rush and they think about Aaron Donald. Mm-hmm. And obviously he's a prolific, outstanding pass rusher. He can really get after the quarterback. But, Aaron Donald hasn't had a sack this season. And if you think about it, a lot of Aaron Donald's pressures, they come off of line stunts and movement. A year ago, Greg Gaines, who left and went to another team, I thought he did one of the most fantastic jobs I'd ever seen of a guy running his pass rush lane to free up Aaron Donald and put him in situations where he could beat people one-on-one who were in a compromised position, maybe turning and having to turn back and deal with him. Aaron Donald, he can line up and beat you one-on-one, but most people aren't going to let him do that. They're going to send the protection to him, which means they're going to get 4 hands on him and 4 eyes on a backer or something. Right. Well, if they can take these young defensive linemen that they have and continue to get them to understand how rushing the passer has to be done in concert with Aaron Donald's uniqueness, then now I think we're going to be looking at, the kind of pass rush where Aaron Donald starts putting up those numbers.
Well, I think the pass rush, Jackie, is accomplished collectively, as we talked about. So it's just not Aaron Donald. So if they got to worry about Aaron Donald, someone else has got to come in there. So they're going to double, triple team him. Then someone else is going to be left open to rush the quarterback.
Somebody's got to beat a one-on-one block.
Now, talking about the running game, Jackie, Cam Akers was traded this past week, from the Rams to Minnesota. Now, we've seen their running game the last couple of weeks. Are they better? Are they worse? Or does it make any difference with Cam Akers?
Well, to me, I just look at the numbers. Yeah. And Kyron Williams, the running back that's played, he's averaging about
50 yards a game at least.
50 yards a game, but he's averaging about 3.6 or something like that per carry.
Yeah.
And plus he's catching the ball. I want to say he's averaging something like almost 8 yards a carry as a receiver. Wow. So when you look at that kind of production versus what they were getting from Cam Akers, and perhaps without all of the scuttlebutt that was going on, you got to figure that they're in a better position with Williams.
Yeah. Jackie, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals last week, they didn't get to Lamar Jackson at all, their defensive pass rush. So that's
well, he got knocked around a little bit.
did he a little bit?
Yeah, he got knocked around a little bit.
Or maybe they only hit him one time or so. But they
some
could
of
have hit him a lot more.
some of that 101 yards that he had was out of the pocket when he was about to throw the ball, and protection broke down.
Well, when you look at Matt Stafford, he's looking at those films, Jackie, every week, and he's saying, this looks pretty good. If they're not going to get to the quarterback, then we can have a field day out there. So I've been impressed with the Rams the first 2 games. After leaving camp this
So
year,
have I.
Jackie, and they've played a lot of players, and they were ready when the opener started, and they played exceptionally well in Seattle. They came back last week and were very good against the 49ers.
Very good against the 49ers.
And so, this is not the team most people predicted at the beginning of the season. And you and I both thought they were going to have a better than 500 record.
Yes.
And it looks like if they continue on this course, I think Matt Stafford's playing lights out. I think hasn't it been a surprise, though, without Cooper Kupp, how effective they've been throwing the football?
Yes.
Atwell is playing great
Tutu
football.
Atwell is averaging about 15 yards.
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua. How many balls has he caught?
He's caught 25 passes in 2 games.
That's a lot.
In his first 2 games in the NFL, that's a historic record.
It certainly
no one's
is.
ever caught
No
that
one
many
has ever
passes.
done that, and that's all the great wide receivers that you can think about. And where does that come from? Does it come from him? I think he is. I think he could be compared, not favorably, but I think he could be compared very closely to Cooper Kupp. He's smart. He's instinctive. He has great hands. He understands what Sean McVay is trying to get done in the passing game, where he's supposed to be. He's always where he's supposed to be. Yeah. You rarely ever see him make a contested catch because people are away from him. They're not covering him.
He gets open.
He gets open.
He gets open, Jack.
Seems always to be open. So,
right.
You can't say enough about the head coach, what he's done, and how he understands the people that he's brought in there, and how he goes about using them. It's just coaching, really good coaching, and a good player who understands what the coach
So is he
wants
going
to
to
do.
have more than 9 receptions today, Jackie? That's the over and unders. Is he not over 9 or under 9?
Well,
he's averaging 12 and a half.
Yeah, well, you got to figure that Cincinnati is thinking, we got to stop this kid.
Yeah.
Now, how they go about doing it is going to be fun watching. And then if they do it, it's going to be fun watching to see how Sean McVay uses some of his other weapons, Tyler Higbee, Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams, uses these other guys to keep his passing game going.
It's very interesting concepts, Jackie, because you're trying to stop one of the premier young receivers in the league in the slot position. He's not the outside. So if he's a great outside wide receiver, you can roll up, cover 2, and you can pretty much double. Inside, you almost have to rely on a linebacker unless they run a lot of nickel and dime defense. Now, if they run nickel and dime defense against the Rams, then I see Tyron Williams really having a huge day out running the football. Then I think that really calls for a lot of run. Mm-hmm. Let's put the running game in motion here. We got to get this thing going. So.
Right. And Sean isn't, with Ryan Wendell, we keep calling this guy's name, but Ryan Wendell, who came from the Patriots, played for the Patriots, worked under Dante Scarnecchia for a number of years. This guy knows how to orchestrate a running game. Yeah. You and I were looking at some of the plays.
In preseason, weren't we? Our eyes were focused on Ryan Wendell on the offensive line, weren't we? And we were both impressed.
We were thoroughly impressed. And as we watched him talking to those guys on the sideline, it's rare that you'll see an offensive line coach talking to the starting 5 and everybody else is hanging on as if, they listen to every word he's saying. So he has control of that room. And those guys believe it. They believe in him. They trust the plays that he's added to the offense. I saw last week, I saw 3 plays run that I hadn't seen run by the Rams the entire time that Sean McVay.
They were new to the Rams.
Yes, they were, and all of them were productive plays.
Yeah, I really do think so. Well, this game is getting ready to kick off here any minute here, Jackie, and it's a big game for both teams. The Bengals have to try to get back on track. They're playing at home, and they had high hopes coming into this season. The Rams, are just playing lights out football right now. And if you're a betting guy, Jackie, I don't see how you can pass up on the Rams. They're playing some good football.
They got
right
a
now.
bargain basement.
Wow.
They got a bargain basement roster relative to the salary cap.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I think gave the Rams a good head start on this season, Vince. When you got that many young and inexperienced players, two things you have to concern yourself with. Number one, you have to make sure they get some experience, so you play them in the preseason. Number two, you don't have to worry about them getting hurt in preseason games because they're on rookie contracts. And if they get hurt, you can replace them for a little or nothing, and you won't mess with your cap. So I think those young guys with the Rams played a lot. They know what they're up against, and don't forget, many of them captains and leaders.
Teams this preseason, Jackie, had a lot of success against the Rams running the football, and I think now with Joey's status, being he's going to be nurturing that calf, I think they're going to really come off running the football. And then I think if they're going to throw real quick to Higgins outside and Jamar Chase, real quick little screen type of routes.
Right.
So keep it kind of simple.
And they're going to feature. I think they'd like to feature this offensive line. Remember, they got Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
They got Williams there, and then their right guard is a big physical guy that played at Humboldt University. They got some good big people up front. So let's see how they use them.
Yeah, the Bengals are all in white, Jackie, and all the fans are all in white as well. And the Rams are all blue pants and blue jerseys. So the first play is a deep pass. Jackie threw it out of bounds. So, but anyway, this ought to be an exciting game tonight to watch. We'll see what happens. I don't really see any huge bandage on Joey's leg, so he's just letting it go. He's a tough kid, Jack. He'll play tough, but there are some injuries that you really have to nurse back in shape, because if you continually to pound on that injury, it'll prolong the healing process.
That's right.
And that's one thing
It'll set you
don't
back.
want to see it. Yeah,
Setbacks. They call them setbacks.
You know, today, Jackie, is National Quesadilla Day. Did you know that?
No.
National Quesadilla Day. So we're watching football.
What would make you bring up food here?
Well, because, when you're watching a football game, you got to have something to eat, right? So if
true.
you're watching a football game, what kind of Mexican food would you
What kind of
eat?
Mexican food I like?
Yeah, what are you going to
First of all, any kind of beef, any kind of taco.
Taco.
Yeah.
Crispy taco or soft
I love my
taco?
crispy tacos.
Crispy,
with
you
lettuce.
bite down, you can crunch.
You crunch that taco shell.
Shredded
then
beef.
you got some. You can have
Carnitas.
shredded beef, or you can have chicken. I prefer chicken than beef.
beef.
Yeah,
Okay.
on my tacos. And then you got to get some refried beans and
But
some.
you know what, on those tacos? Well, you got to have some good salsa, Jack.
Yeah, you know sauces. They always have plenty of variety
Third
in
and
the
one,
sauce.
Jackie, they're throwing the ball. They haven't even ran the ball yet. And we got away from the quesadilla and the tacos, but I mean, Joey's right on target.
Yeah. First down.
But you
No
wouldn't have thought of
pressure.
that.
No pressure on the quarterback. And look at there, Aaron Donald gets double. He had to beat the guard. As soon as he came off the guard, the tackle was waiting on him.
Yeah, we talked about the pass rush as a collective arrangement of players that have to get to the quarterback, Jackie, not just one guy. So
Right.
they're going to really need to have a great team effort up there on the defensive front. But, it's not like, the Bengals last week got blown out, Jackie. They were in that game, but they just couldn't put everything together.
Couldn't put it together.
Yeah. Here they're trying to run the football with Joe Mixon. He gets 5 yards. It's a pretty good run.
Well,
but-
Volson, number 67, their left guard, just did a fantastic job one-on-one drive blocking Aaron Donald.
Man.
And Aaron, he's an explosive, powerful guy, powerfully built guy, not that tall, and he plays usually very quickly and get off of a lot of blocks.
Yeah.
That particular time, this guy got him up underneath those pads and held on to him where it was ruled legal, and he couldn't get off the block, and they picked up, 4 yards there.
Yeah, they're running a lot of snug formations where the wide receivers and everybody are close to the center, and allows you a little variation as far as running the football, throwing the ball. You can motion guys out of the backfield. The defenses are a bit confined because now you can't play wide open. You got to play, maybe more man-to-man type of defense, and they're getting guys open, Jackie.
Taylor is the head coach, right?
Yes, Zach Taylor.
And what I've seen so far, Vince, that ball is coming out quickly.
Quick.
And when it didn't come out quickly, it was a play-action pass, which made all the defensive linemen for the Rams use their run keys at the line of scrimmage, not rush the passer.
Here again, another kind of snug formation. You got an empty backfield, quarterback in the shotgun formation. Quick pass again, Jackie.
You dropped that one.
Yeah, Jamar Chase. But you're talking about food, Jackie, with the Mexican food. Now, if I was to order food, I think I'd have to stay with a taco as well. But I like a chili relleno with it.
Oh, you do?
You were saying rice and beans. Is
Yeah,
good too.
got to have all that.
But
and some guacamole
nothing
too.
like because
what about guacamole and chips?
Guacamole and chips.
But those chips got to those chips got to be salty. It can't. I don't like guacamole with a plain
or spiced.
Spice.
Some
some lime flavor.
Something on there, because Jackie, you got to be able to stand up, watch the game, and eat, with your taco in your hand. So you don't have to be looking down with a fork.
I never had a taco where I held it with both hands like that.
That's a big
My
taco.
tacos are always in one hand. I take 2 or 3 bites and it's gone.
We'll put some good salsa on top, Jackie. Oh man, pico de gallo be great.
Well, Vince, I'm noticing now this is it's 11 minutes and 53 seconds in this ball game, and this is an extended drive we're watching. It's 3rd and 3. They've held on to the ball. They've gotten into Ram territory right now, just a few yards away from the red zone, maybe 20 yards away from the red zone, and I haven't seen.
Another play action pass.
Another play action pass.
Well, Jackie, I'll tell you what, it's fun to recap some of the games. We didn't get into all the games, but it was a lot of great fun this week in week 3. Mm-hmm. But we have to tell our viewers that continue to watch us here on Point Live. Subscribe to our Point Live with Vince and Jackie, and become a follower on our Instagram, on.point.live. So we hope everyone continues to watch this game. It's going to be a great game tonight, the Monday Night Football. So stay tuned for our next episode of On Point Live. So stay on point.